welcome everyone. This is our December 3rd Coffee and EVs. This is our combined Coffee and EVs for November and December so that we can try to avoid the holiday weeks. So welcome everyone. We got the recording on. We were just talking about charging at potentially some new chargers going in on the Turnpike at the Tamarack Welcome Center there on at Beckley. And don't have any more significant information, but hopefully we'll get some more here soon. All right. Well, how's everyone been? Anyone have any specific news items or stories they want to share? Marty mentioned we were talking about some holiday trips. I know I sent something out, and there was some discussion on the listserv about that. But anyone else have anything they want to share?
I have two questions. One is the Canaan Valley and Blackwater Falls replaced all of their level 2 chargers with Blink, but it's not Blink networks. They're just Blink manufactured. They're still free and just plug them in and you go. But only one in each place, only one out of all four of them is working. So does anybody know why they replaced them? The other ones they had 3 Tesla destination chargers and 1 J plug. And now there's 4 J plugs, figuring that Teslas all have an adapter to use that. But was anybody else aware of why they made the decision was it just simply an upgrade?
Well, I don't think that the Tesla wall chargers are very durable for outdoors. That may be the issue. And I think they're also a little susceptible to voltage spikes.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there, though, I know.
We know that the ones at well, they're in Fayette County. What is it? The Hawk's Nest. That they have failed, and they shipped the ones that were never used from Wood County down there to use from North Bend, and it's just my observation. I don't think that they're really designed for sitting outdoors, because they put the same one inside of garages too. So,
well, and also, Marty, correct me if I'm wrong. Weren't those installed like in 2015?
They're quite a few years ago, yeah. 15.
So I mean, we're at 9 years of use out sitting in the elements. I mean, it's probably about time for things to start to need to be replaced anyway.
Yeah.
My second question, for those of you with experience, and I'll tell you because I don't tell everybody. When you're going out of town, you don't want to tell everybody, but none of you are going to break into my house. So I thought was to go to Blackwater Falls and stay overnight and charge there with only one working. That's a little iffy, but the weather was also a little bit funny. And I know that just before you get from Elkins to Blackwater, you're up at 3,500 feet, and Elkins is 15. So that's a 2,000-foot, 6-degree difference in temperature. But if we stay on the interstate and go up to Morgantown and across Kaiser's Ridge, we only go up to 3,100 feet. Plus, if we get stuck, you're on the interstate. Do any of you have a recommendation of what would be the better initial plan? Should we go up to Morgantown and across into Maryland at Friendsville, or should we keep our original plans and go to Blackwater Falls and then go across 48 to Stevens City?
Go to Friendsville.
I was going to say, wouldn't you have more charging options for CCS there on 68 coming down through like Deep Creek and all that?
We're going to stop either at Midway Chevrolet or in Elkins. And once we do that, we actually could get enough to get all the way to Stevens City without a problem and not have to charge. But it's free. You don't want to pay for it if you're going to dependably get it for free. But if you're just possibly going to get it for free, then maybe you don't want to do that. So, and then once you get even to Blackwater Falls, you're actually starting to come downhill already there. And I called them today, and they said they're keeping the roads nice and clear. But I just don't know whether to trust them.
No. You'll gain, if you're coming down off the mountain, I gained 4% coming off Snowshoe Mountain. But I don't know if you're going up. I would still go Friendsville because there's really no place else besides Elkins to charge. And then it's either that until you get to Virginia, in my opinion, till you get to just across the line, Front Royal
Front Royal.
is the next place, and that's
You
it.
can actually go almost north from Blackwater Falls and go right up into Deep Creek Lake and up into those along. Once you get on Interstate 68, there's a lot of them in Cumberland and Hagerstown and Frostburg and Frederick and Mount Airy and all the way to my destination. I'm going to be within one every 50 miles or so in Maryland.
Yep.
But you're right. If I go across that 48, then I got to make that. If I full when I leave, I'll get to 5 of them before I run out of ones to get to.
Well, just I mean, we
90 some miles.
Yeah, I'd go 48. I mean 68 there.
All I know is the winter, and you never know what like headwinds are going to be, temperatures are going to be, how much heat you're using, elevation changes. It's it's going to be a little dicier.
I really would, and depending on the weather too. We're supposed to, I don't know when you're going to go, but again, we're getting another snow squall tomorrow night, so and it covers quickly.
Yeah, summertime. I think summertime you'd be fine doing going through Elkins, but I think in the wintertime you want to stick to the interstates. Yeah,
I was just thinking if you got stuck and it was too icy and you pulled off, you'd have a lot better chance being noticed on the interstate than you would, on 5 miles out of Davis, West Virginia, off the road. Nobody would find you for a week.
No. Yeah. As my husband drives by in his truck, you could wave at him, and but that's about it. No, and there's no place to pull off, really.
So my dad was a minister up there, and he used to talk at a church in Ravenswood, in Aurora, and a church in Davis, and he used to talk about the snowdrifts that would build up between Thomas and Davis, because back then there were no trees; it all just been strip mined a few years before, and the wind would blow across there and build up these huge snowbanks. And he had tires with walnut shells embedded in the rubber, and he would blast through those. He said sometimes he'd have to back up and go through it 3 times to be able to get through the snow, the snow. But he would make it back to Aurora where we lived in the middle.
Well, now I spent the 3 nights in Canaan Valley, and I own property in Davis. You're not going to be lost for 3 days. People go up and down 32 frequently. So that's not going to happen. But clearly, it's a challenge for people when there's a lot of snow up there. But the Division of Highways does clear the roads frequently. It's not like it's in a foreign country.
Do you have chains, Rick?
Yeah, I wonder what the efficiency for an EV running chains is. Probably not good.
No.
So about 20 years ago, I got caught in a snowstorm in Canaan, and it took, I think, 5 hours to drive back to Elkins with chains on at 20 miles an hour.
I think we had John Averill join. John, are you on with us?
He was.
His chair's there.
Yes.
Yeah, he's listed in the list.
Probably
I
worth
don't
getting
see his
a snap.
video. Okay. We'll follow up. I was going to ask him if he knew anything more about it. He could share anything more about the Chargers at Tamarack.
I was going to say one thing, thinking about the up north where Lake Effect, they're having 5 feet of snow in just a couple of days. I sure hope that the people who plow the parking lots and everything recognize, don't pile snow up on top and around
the EV chargers
pedestals at the edge of parking lots.
Yeah.
Really a bad day. You pull in and you can't find the charging station.
Couldn't get to it even if you found it.
Yeah. Oh, they might have the parking lot clear, but the pedestals are buried. So anyway, we traveled up to Wisconsin for Thanksgiving, and I was pleasantly surprised at the hometown of my father-in-law. I went to the Target, and I've been there many, many times, and I parked and I look out, and there's a row of Tesla superchargers that they'd put in since the last time I was there. So that was a pleasant surprise. Not that we needed it. We charge at his home, and we just make sure when we leave the Milwaukee area, we've got enough to get to his house. But it's
always nice to see more.
Yeah, I remember 3 years ago when we stopped our typical Woodman's to get Kringle and cheese at Kenosha. One December, they had the foundations in and the transformers, so we knew what was coming. And later that spring, probably Easter, we were able to use them right next to the supermarket, which was wonderful. Previously, we'd be 2 exits further south, and I'd drop people off to go shopping of the family, and I'd have to go pick them back up. So,
well, Tesla keeps putting more in. They've got almost 2,500 stations around the country, and there's a whole lot of other people installing superchargers, our DC fast chargers. There's this new outfit called Iona. It's a joint venture of Mercedes and GM and BMW and several other companies, and they have their first charge stations under construction, and they said they'll have 30,000 plugs by 2030.
That's their plan.
Yeah.
is that
I did see this. I had a few news articles this is from the U.S. Joint Office of Energy and Transportation, their Q4 2024 report. So showing an increase of 12,000 EV charging ports in the last 3 months. And we're up to over 200,000 level 2 and DC fast charging ports.
So does anybody know about Beckley? Because the paper today said they're opening the Travel Plaza by Christmas, and there'll be 16 electric vehicle chargers.
Well, John, we were actually going to ask you because we were talking about it. See if you knew anything.
Okay.
So if they have that many,
That's all I know.
Most of those are probably level 2s. We were
Is that-
wondering if they had any fast charging that they were going to put in.
Well, they dang well better.
16
Yeah.
sounds like a Tesla. Divide by 8. That sounds like a Tesla number.
It would be pretty silly to do level 2 there at that brand new Travel Plaza where they're major 77, 64 traffic.
I agree. We've seen strange things, though.
I'll try to get by there and look at them.
So
Yeah. If you could send some pictures of it, that'd be great.
So I heard about a new company called It's Electric, and they have adopted charging posts in cities. In fact, is anybody that has they'll spare capacity in their in their breaker box, they will run power out to the curb and put a post at the curb that has a socket on it that meets the new standard for car charging with bring your own cord. And they are now up and running in New York and Detroit, and they're working on spots in Boston and Los Angeles. But it's level 2, and they're finding buildings with spare capacity, so they don't have to tear up and put in big substations and things like that to get these level 2s in. And they actually pay for the power, and they send money to the host breaker box owner every year. as well. So it's a pretty neat setup, and they make money doing it, and they charge about 50 cents a kilowatt hour. So, but it's a big deal for on-street parking. If you live in an apartment or something.
I also
here's
saw
a picture of all the different the J3400. You got the Tesla, and then you've got this standard plug. I forget what that's called, but yeah, they all use the bring your own cable. Uses this standard plug to plug into the charger, and then J772 NACs or whatever you want from that. Pretty neat setup.
It's the Minsky port. Is it the same standard as used in Europe for that?
Yeah, I think it is from Europe. This side of the plug.
Yeah, it's called Minsky or something.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
That would be a great option for businesses that want to put some charging out on the street, like in downtown.
Well, think about how it eliminates a major source of air. I mean, the biggest problem people have is with the cable and all that, and that now rests in your car. You don't have to worry about it.
I was at a hotel recently, back in the fall over in Ocean City, and they had 6 EV chargers at this hotel, and I've used them before, and they're generally fairly decent. But this time, there was one Tesla destination charger that was hooked up. The others had their cables were just completely cut off. There was one that was working, but the end of the cable was so busted, all the plastic was gone, and all you could see were the metal pins. So that you could plug it in, but you had to be real careful, and it looked really dangerous. I was real shaky about plugging that in, and they had one J772 that was also working, and it was in pretty bad shape too, where people just leave the ends of the cables laying on the ground and they get run over and damaged, and so yeah, this type of a setup will be a godsend for trying to prevent that kind of damage and making these things more reliable.
That partially sounds like some of that vandalism that was going on earlier this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's electric people said that the only vandalism they've had is somebody put a sticker over their socket, which is easy to take off. So I think this standard, if it catches on, it'll cut costs. It'll really be a great step forward.
And the other thing about this standard is it also supports the 277 volt voltage, so you'll get more power versus 208 volt for a lot of the commercial stuff. If you've got a site that supports it, and it's supposedly cheaper because you don't need a step down transformer. You can, I guess, you hardcore electrical engineering guys would know this. I guess you can go directly off like 3-phase or something easier without a lot of problems.
3-phase 460 volt.
Like you can take one phase of that, and then you can use the 277 directly.
Right.
Yeah.
The square root of 3 comes in there somewhere.
All right, and then let's see here, James. You said you had something you saw. You saw supercharger cables laying on the ground during your Thanksgiving trip.
Yeah, I was just really surprised that folks were doing that. And
was that at a V3 or V4?
It was at a V3.
Okay.
The one at the Wawa ahead of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes,
right there in Annapolis.
Sometimes people, if it doesn't work, they'll lay it on the ground so that you don't waste time plugging into it and find out it doesn't work.
That's what I thought too, but I pulled up and plugged in with it. I mean, like I saw them as they unplugged it from their vehicle, lay it on the ground.
Oh.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of is I thought maybe the little bracket that holds the dispenser was broken, but it wasn't. I put it back up when I left.
I'll say that the V2 charger that I used in Charleston, it was cold that night and the cables were stiff, and V2 cables are kind of thick anyway. And the little holders didn't want to grab it. It was the cable was flexed and it didn't want to go back into the normal position, and it kept pulling it out of the holder. So I had to kind of play with the cable to get it back into condition and to get it to stay in the holder. So I don't know, maybe something like that was going on.
Yeah, very well could have been. I hadn't seen that previously, so it just an oddity.
Well, it's probably a new owner that wasn't well trained.
Could be. Well, a few other updates. I've got some things I picked out just to throw out there. If anyone's been waiting on the new Volkswagen, minibus to come in its electric form, that's arriving finally after years and years of prototypes and discussions. Those are finally showing up. I mean, I'll give it that. It is a cool looking little vehicle.
But it's only got 240 miles of range.
The range isn't that great, and it's not cheap. But for a first effort, I guess hopefully they can build on that. BYD is kicking butt on electric vehicles, globally. So they are hitting record after record, especially in other countries, China and Southeast Asia, Australia, Europe. So something, I know the legacy manufacturers probably believe the Chinese won't make it to North America, but it's going to happen at some point.
I saw where they have their own ship that hauls 7,000 vehicles.
I think that's their second ship. I think that they just commissioned. So yeah, they're buying their own vehicle or producing their own vehicle buying. I don't know what they're doing, but they own their own vehicle transport ships.
It's a little like Tesla's not being sold in West Virginia, and you drive across a river to Ohio and buy one. Well, if Mexico has access to the BYDs, you're going to be able to just drive across and buy one. Now, I guess who has to pay the increased tariff then when you get it? Was it you or is it the company? I don't know. But they're going to get right on our borders with Canada and certainly with Mexico.
And with NAFTA, if they're actually built there, then it brings up whole new questions of what is the tariff if it's built in Mexico or built in Canada but owned by a Chinese company.
Well, they're really already here. I mean, the Polestar, I was seeing a Polestar more than a year ago.
Yeah, Volvo's owned by China.
Yeah, Geely.
Yeah. And Polestars have been selling poorly for a couple years.
But imagine these, $10,000 to $20,000 BYD models making it over with, pretty decent specs and pretty decent range.
Yeah. Well, I am convinced of one thing, that the price of EVs is going to continue to go down. That I think we're on the cusp of some dramatic battery cost reductions in the next few years. Either improvements going to solid state with improvements in energy density, or going to this lithium sulfur battery, which you cut out all that nickel and cobalt and you really drop the price.
I mean, we already have lithium iron phosphate, which cuts out nickel and cobalt. It's just scaling and continuing innovation on the cathode and anode pieces of it.
Yeah, but iron phosphate usually doesn't have the range, so
doesn't have the energy density that the others do. But it has a cost advantage.
Yeah, and I think you're going to continue to see it. I think that you'll see right now we're probably at parity for a lot of cars. And Model Y nowadays is probably about the same as a normal SUV, and they're just going to keep dropping in price.
And following up on that BYD article, I saw that the Japanese aren't immune either. We've already seen the Japanese majors get pummeled in China and their sales drop in China along with U.S. manufacturers. And so now we're seeing Japanese car sales plummet in Southeast Asia as the Chinese manufacturers take market share in those areas. So, the Hondas and the Toyotas and the Nissans aren't immune in other markets.
Has there been a good analysis how much BYD's advantage is subsidies and other government help? Not necessarily direct subsidies, but other help?
I mean, I don't know that I haven't seen anything broken down for BYD, but I've seen something along the lines of the Chinese government has put in, I think it was over $200 billion to invest in their electric vehicle industry and supply chains.
They all get free land.
Yeah.
To start with, to build their factories, all kind of other subsidies that are kind of hidden. They're not direct payments that you can easily see, but it's obvious that they're paying more to build those cars than they're selling them for.
Yeah.
Somebody's paying more, but not necessarily the car company.
All right, moving on to some funner stuff here. And for everybody who owns Teslas, the big holiday update's coming out. We got several things arriving for the holidays. Apple Watch, direct Apple Watch support, Sirius XM. There were a few other things. The thing I liked the most was the ability to get the dash cam clips on your phone, so you don't have to pull the flash drive out of the car. So you can get them right up on your phone and save them the clips out. And then there was something else about dash cam. If someone pulls the door handle on the car, it'll immediately send you an alert to your phone, and it'll record the clip. And there's a bunch of miscellaneous stuff, new games and navigation improvements and, different things. A little fun stuff for the holidays.
Robert, while you're on this, I know there's somebody in our group that just got a Mach-E not too long ago. I'm having serious issues with my Bluetooth and my Android staying connected, and Ford says that it's AT&T's problem, and AT&T said that's a Ford problem, and it narrows down to the interference between other wavelengths, and there's no way to fix it. I was just wondering if anybody else has come up with that issue.
What Android phone are you running?
It's an it's an older
Samsung.
Yeah.
Did it upgrade to the latest version of Android?
It should. My Android Auto is an app in my car, and it's updated.
Well, I just meant Android 15 rolled out not too long ago. I don't know if Samsung's rolled it out, but I was actually wondering if it started recently, if it could be an artifact of the Android operating system update.
It's always done that. But I noticed that there was a company that took the app off, the Android app off of, I think it was GM, took the app off of their cars.
Android Auto, they took that out of their cars.
Right, because of the navigation with it, there was something wrong with it. It was right on the dash or whatever, and it was too distracting. But this is just interference, because anytime I pass a microwave or an X-ray, I pass the courthouse, it goes. I mean, it shuts off. I go across the windmills, it shuts off. So it's aggravating to continually try to stay connected where I'm at.
You have the ability to just try another phone to see if it makes any difference?
I've never tried that. No, I love my phone. I don't want to get rid of it.
I know, but like swap a phone. Like, I don't know, take your spouse's phone for a day and see how it works.
Maybe try a cheap dumb phone.
Well, it sounds like it's a shielding issue either with the phone or the car, since the way you described the cutout just driving down the road. If you're setting in your house in the garage, it probably doesn't cut out unless somebody turns on the microwave. Right. So the car's picking up, its antenna seems awful strong to pick up that other devices interference. So there might be something in the forums about doing some kind of shielding.
Okay, I'll look.
I know that's Greek probably, but yeah.
Yeah, when you usually have to put some sort of filter on it. I mean, some sort of electronic filter.
Right, but there could be for where the Bluetooth antenna is in the car, there might be some shielding that could be done above it because it's probably in the dash to keep that from penetration from coming more directly down through the windshield. It just depends on where it's at. I mean, not knowing how it's manufactured or where the antenna would be, it makes it rough to even work on that. But I would imagine someplace in the forums, there's somebody that's trying to do something like that.
You could wrap your steering wheel in aluminum foil.
It's probably not in the steering wheel though. Put a aluminum foil hat on your phone, right?
Yeah, I get enough crazy looks at him.
And if you have a case on the phone,
if I have foil over my
if you have a case on the phone, if it's a specialty case, might try taking that off to see if it improves anything.
Oh, okay. Well, I could, but I don't know. The last thing it's just interference, the outside interference from different wavelengths, and I have no. I'm not the FCC. I can't control the way.
Well, but if your phone is weak, if the signal between the car and the phone are very weak, and then it can be easily overwhelmed by something else, if you could strengthen the signal, the connection between the car and the phone, it might not be so easily overwhelmed.
I'll look into it. I'll let you know.
Yeah, and if you don't see a lot of people complaining about this issue on the Mach-E forums, then it's probably something more unique to your car or your phone.
Okay, I'll look at.
But if everybody's complaining about it, then it might be an issue with the Mach-E.
Well, I like Android Auto. I really do because you have more options for your texting. I could do voice to text, and I don't have to choose a generic statement. And I like that. I like that option. But again, I'm traveling a lot, and every so often it'll whenever it feels, or like I said, when I pass certain areas. I'm going in front of the courthouse. It's going to shut off. And then I have to actually reboot everything and to get it to come back up. Just a pain.
Yeah, I hear you. Technology is great when it works.
I every so often, even with my Tesla, walk up to it and it doesn't recognize me right away. It might take a few seconds and try to open the door and then actually have to pull my phone out and actually start it, get the home screen up. So it can happen to others, Amanda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes I have to show the car my phone. Pull it out of my pocket and hold it up to the car, and then it unlocks.
Mine is very sensitive. I mean, I could be within, 100 feet and it'll pick up my phone. It's like, ooh, hello. And no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just standing, within the vicinity. But so it'll pick it up really easily, but to stay connected. And I don't know, like I said, the interference is an issue.
All right. Some other articles. The Honda Prologue has been doing really well in sales, which is, it's a relatively new model. So coming right out of the gate real strong, and they had some really great lease deals. So I think that really picked up some interest for a cheap car payment. I think there were sub $300 lease deals on the Prologue. So I think that picked up some interest, and it's it's a pretty solid vehicle. It's based on the Chevy Blazer electric vehicle. But kudos to Honda for getting something out there. And for those who didn't see it, the 4th generation supercharger cabinets are arriving, so we'll finally have a full V4 solution. This is we can do 500 kilowatt charging speeds available, and support for 400 to 1000 volt electrical architectures. So this will be the charging solution that's really the one that can meet all the needs for different electric vehicles, from Teslas to the new Lucids and the Hyundais and Kias with the 800 volt electric architecture, and the Cybertruck with its 800 volt architecture. Don't know when we're going to see some of these, but they say that they are in the permitting process now. So we'll probably see some of these installed first quarter of 2025.
Well, I won't even have time to go to the bathroom.
At 500 kilowatts.
Yeah, I mean it'll be done charging before you walk over to the convenience store. It's pretty. That's an impressive speed.
The other thing I saw, I don't think it was in this article, but it was a different article. I mean, yeah, the speed increases are great and all that, but the other improvements underneath this, underneath the skin of it all, was each cabinet can now support 8 stalls. So it's a easier, quicker, cheaper install. So you only need one cabinet to support 8 stalls instead of one cabinet per 4 stalls on the older systems. And the other improvement, the power electronics and all that stuff is more efficient. I think they were saying they were eking out 2% better efficiency in charging, which doesn't sound like a lot. But then when you multiply that by terawatt hours of charging across the country, 2% adds up. Pretty cool stuff. I saw this article about the new electric postal trucks getting out there, and postal workers really like their new electric mail trucks. They look funny, but apparently they are, so the workers like them, and they are all electric, so you gotta love that.
Well, that's the first postal truck to have air conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big deal.
They say obviously postal trucks in the city don't need much range. Does it say how much the range is, roughly?
Let's see.
70 miles.
We're seeing an actual range.
There it is.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, 70 miles per full charge.
Yeah.
Which exceeds the 12 to 15 miles of daily driving of most city litter carriers. There you go.
I expect Marty and my carrier doesn't drive but the 12 or 10 probably. Very nice.
So they're going to have to be electrifying truck depots at postal facilities to charge these.
Yeah, I read another article that said that the big delay, both for the post office and for Amazon and UPS, is getting the charging posts in. If you got a fleet of 50 vehicles, getting the charging posts in, it's a major effort.
And if you're waiting for transformers, which it seems like everybody's waiting for electrical transformers.
Yeah.
All right, that was all the articles I had picked out, and we already talked about the plugs. So, anybody else have anything?
Robert, I sent one in
okay,
chat.
in chat. Switch over to the chat.
I saw a company that was advocating for semis putting the batteries in the trailer and not in the tractor. And their argument was that it takes about 12 hours to unload and reload the trailer at the warehouse. And during that time, it can be charging the whole time. So now you've got a full load when you hook your, it's true when you're on the road, you still have to plug in to charge somewhere, but it saves them a huge amount of, you don't want a full tractor sitting there waiting for the time for the trailer. But I didn't even know if that was true, that it takes 12 hours to unload and to reload a semi.
It seems excessive, but
yeah.
I worked in a warehouse, and it depends on when the trailer pulls in to whether or not the loaders and unloaders are ready.
Also, maybe that's like an average time, including like waiting time to actually get to a place where they can unload it, load it. Yeah, gotcha.
There was time they could be charging that whole time.
Yeah.
Anyway, they were building the trailers with the battery packs in the trailers.
Well, it's another take on it anyway. And yeah, I think we have mentioned this before, but yeah, Volkswagen and Rivian, They had announced it, but then they, I guess they've officially launched now, and it was originally 5 billion, and yeah, I think I did see they upped it to 5.8 billion in their joint deal. And I think one of the first vehicles using the Rivian technology, I don't think it was supposed to be out until like 2028 or something.
It isn't. It's out there quite a ways. But what I found interesting about this article was that there is a new company being formed.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Larry, a few months ago, you mentioned something about a Frito-Lay warehouse in Tays Valley that has electric trucks. Is that still up and running, or do you know any?
I haven't been by it for a while, but I did see one of their trucks out earlier about like back in the summer. Saw one of their trucks on a distribution route in Nitro. But I did look around at their facility down there, and there was like 20 level 2 charge stations. There were only, I think, 4 trucks there at the time. Not just vans, they were the bigger panel trucks. But I haven't seen any more of their vehicles out distributing or anything.
Okay, I was just curious.
I had taken some pictures, and they told me not to. They didn't want any publicity. They didn't want me to take pictures, so I didn't do anything with them. But then the one was in Nitro. I did take a picture of it.
What is it, an e-transit or what?
I'm not sure what the e-transit is, but and I don't know how quick I could find the picture. But
the e-transit, yeah, Ford van.
Yeah, it's just
this is bigger than that. This was a full-size truck. I mean,
step
like a medium-duty delivery truck.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
When we were at Rivian in Richmond, they had one of their vans they're doing for, I guess, Amazon in the back. And I said, "Are you selling those?" Well, just to Amazon at this point and some commercial customers. So
I did read that, yeah, Amazon, they don't, there's no exclusivity now between Amazon and Rivian. So Rivian can sell those to other people.
Right. But individuals apparently can't get them yet.
Yeah, they're not really set up for like individual use.
Yeah, we saw 2 of them on a trailer down in Blacksburg that looked like they were probably getting off in Blacksburg or Christiansburg. 2 Amazon Rivian vans.
And Scott, you sent this one.
Yeah. I heard this on Marketplace just before I got on the call. And essentially, from last year to this year, the number of landlord or number of renters in apartments have gone up 7% up to 34% that want charging. And they were quoting a landlord in Vermont saying he's gotten such great reviews on the one he's done, he's going to do it in more of his buildings. And there's a lot of talk about when you build new buildings, pre-invest in the charging infrastructure and conduit and everything so that you can be ready, because they're expecting that the demand is going to grow for people who aren't in single family homes. They're in apartments that want to have charging right where they park. And he was actually adding to this first place more charging spots, because if you rent from him, I gather the stalls will be available without additional charge. And he's getting more and more demand.
So I was talking with a gentleman at McClinton's Chevrolet in the service department, and he had been out to his son's out in California. In his building, he paid like $13 or $15 extra a month, and he had a designated spot just for him to plug in his building. It was on the lower level of the parking garage, down below the apartments, but it was all the guy had. He had his own spot to park if he needed to charge.
That sounds
Was it like
great.
level 1 or level 2?
He did not know enough to be able to tell me that.
Oh, okay.
I would say it's probably just level 1. You know, like
For that price, I would think it's probably level 1. But
yeah.
I don't know if I can show this or not. I don't believe I can.
Well, that's a pretty good sized truck.
That's a big truck. Yeah. This is where they were charging down there. There's 4 of them parked side by side there, but there's like close to 20 stations, charging stations.
Wow.
Cool.
I think as we're getting out of this phase of adoption of the early adopters into that mainstream going up, a lot more people are not willing to do their homework, and they're making bad choices. And the same thing's true of putting in EVSE. So Manor Corporation, that owns Pikeview Apartments, Roxalana in Dunbar, and Country Club here in Huntington, put in the level 2 charging stations. Well, the one here nearby, and I met with Debbie Rose, who's the manager of the apartment complex, it broke. And so EV Connect had to which network that was going to come out and fix it. So they sent a guy from Kentucky to diagnose whether it was the modem that was broken, the card reader, or whatever it was. And he charged $2,500 to come out and fix it, but he couldn't fix it because he didn't have the part. So he had to go back to Kentucky. He was going to charge it. They were going to charge another $1,500 to bring that part out and install it. So now they're up to $4,000 to repair an AC level 2 with 2 plugs. I sent some notes to Debbie. I said, you're getting taken. And finally, one of their big administrators, vice presidents, got involved in the conversation. He's not taking any gruff from them, but they're not going to get any of that $2,500 back. They could buy a whole new installation for $4,000. I'm just not sure. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they were getting taken for a ride because they obviously signed up a contract and didn't have their ducks in a row.
Yeah,
that's an incredible story. So anytime anybody wants to do a little vandalism, you're out 25. That's just wrong.
Yeah,
that's why we need these bring your own plugs stations everywhere. You know, that's
or just put in some outlets and let people bring their own mobile chargers,
right,
and pay a fee to use the outlets.
The thieves have already figured out that when the car's not charging, there's no electricity going through those wires. And they just take a hacksaw or a big snap and they cut off that much copper, and it's $200 worth, and they get it in 10 seconds, and you're out. And they've got to stop it at the source. The people that are fencing it, they've got to stop it at that level, or it's just that crime is going to go up. What I suggested is, having had an electric fence at home for my cattle, it doesn't hurt you, but it just hurts like stink. And the charge is only on, the wire is only charged for 1/10 of a second and off for 9/10. The voltage is huge, but the amperage is really low. Why don't they take one of those wires that's not being used when the car's not plugged in and just put a little potential on it from the station? And then if you cut through with your little snips, you're going to know about it pretty quickly. Something to deter the theft of the copper.
I was thinking along the same lines. I even suggested this on LinkedIn. It was like, you could do something like electrify it, but even beyond that, so that there's like more record of that there's a problem, is like in the cable, what if there was like a channel, like we've got liquid cooled cables, but what if you had just a channel in the cable with liquid in it? And it's not like the blue dye that they have like on theft things like in department stores. And also like give it a smell, like it smells like a skunk or, something potent, so that when you cut through that, the blue dye like, goes everywhere, and now you smell like a skunk, and you've got blue dye.
As someone who actually was involved in another thing like that, I don't know if we had any lawyers on here, but they would probably tell you leaving yourself open to a lot of lawsuits. Oh, I had a heart attack when this happened, or you scared me, and I
was stealing from you, and this thing happened, and there was signage that says this will happen, but I did it anyway.
Yeah, you could get sued.
Protection of your property. You can't hurt the person for any, even at less level than they would get by getting caught and put to jail. They'll sue you and they'll win, and it's just a shame.
It is.
Thornton, you were going to say something.
Go ahead, Thornton.
Well, y'all mentioned I'm a lawyer, and I was thinking, do you guys really want to do the? Do you really want to have a thing booby trapped to do that? I mean, I understand. I can empathize with people who want to do that, but I think twice about that. Or get a law passed first. Prohibiting those people from filing lawsuits before you try that.
Yeah.
Well, nothing that we would be able to do. To have to be a manufacturer who would actually implement that.
I think the solution is the bring your own plug.
Yeah, that kind of avoids it all.
Best solution.
But that doesn't help with DC fast charging.
No.
Aren't they still just going to cut the copper off? What difference does it make which end? If you have two plugs with a wire in between, and they cut it at each end and take the copper. But filled.
But the cable, you carry the cable with you, Rick. There is no cable.
But you leave it on there while you're charging. If it's at level 2 and you leave
you leave it on there,
but steal it.
But if you cut a cable while it's in use, though, that's going to be a little.
It's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they know when the lights aren't flashing that it's all done.
Well, I think most of that theft occurs when the things aren't in use, and the station, it's in the middle of the night when no one's there and they're not in use.
Yeah, then taking it with you may be of help, or if you sit there by it.
You might mention that it's an electric company to your friend at the apartment complex. If that might be a solution. People have to bring their own cable, and the company actually gives the cables away.
Go ahead, John. Did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I have that picture Larry sent me of that van.
Oh, okay. You want to share it?
I want to try, yeah. I got to turn out where I can do it. It'll let me. I'll do it once I can get it there. So I don't have permissions turned on. It won't let me paste it in the chat.
Robert, you'll have to give him permission.
Oh, okay.
No. It's on my computer.
You just want to share your screen? If you can share the screen with it on it?
Yeah, let me try to share my screen. Let's see, entire screen. Share screen.
I still think that might have been
you don't have the screen recording permissions on your computer.
No.
Let's see.
Was it sent to me or just you, John?
It was just sent to me. I texted him. I can send it over to you real easy, Robert.
Well, while you're doing that, there was one other thing I saw recently up in Martinsburg here. I noticed they tore down some buildings and were dozing and doing a whole bunch of stuff in an area close to the city of Martinsburg. Actually, it's in the city limits, but it's an area. All of a sudden, all this activity started happening, and I saw a sign that said it was all part of the bipartisan infrastructure law. And so I was trying to find what they were doing. So I was doing some searching around, and I did find it. Share it. They are building a multimodal transit center for Martinsburg. So it has It's going to have like bike routes and buses, and it'll connect over to the MARC train that comes out to Martinsburg, so you can take that into DC, which you can now, but this will be like a new place, I guess, where you can go ride your bike or catch the bus to this thing and then, catch the train. But the thing that I noticed of interest when I was reading the article about it, I can find it again here. They were having electric vehicle charging there. So I'm going to have to find out more about what they plan.
Other noticeable features include electric vehicle charging.
Yeah, there it is. Electric vehicle charging stations.
Wow.
So I said, that's pretty cool. Did not know that was coming. So we'll have to find out what's going on with that. But it looks like it's going to be a pretty large facility right down there in downtown Martinsburg, which they needed. I mean, there is no real great place for the buses. The Eastern Panhandle Transit Authority runs out of a little place down by the airport, which is kind of far off the beaten path and not near the city of Martinsburg, not real close anyway. So this will be a lot better setup.
Where's the train tracks?
The train's off in the back there somewhere. It's not far from the train tracks.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly how they'll connect to where the train is, because it's still just a little ways away, but I don't know what their plan is for that. But I guess this will be the transit center, and then somehow they will get connected over, get people from here over to where the train is. Or maybe you'll take a shuttle from here to the train. I'm not sure. But it's only a few, 3 or 4 blocks away probably into the tracks.
Okay, I got it figured out.
Okay.
It says I can't share my screen.
Well, let me see if I can give you permission. People, let's see there, John is. Well, it doesn't give me anything about you, John, that I can let you do that.
I think it's still on my end. I found something. Nope.
I think anybody can share.
It's the permissions within the Mac.
Oh,
I thought it would be easier than this, but I sent it to your phone.
Oh, that explains it.
Mac.
Macintosh.
It's not like in Google Meet.
Yeah, of course. Apple, Google, Android thing.
I got to run. Merry Christmas to all.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Rick.
Merry Christmas.
Talk to you later.
Have a safe one.
Rick, if you get stuck, you can stop here in Philippi and charge on mine.
Thank you.
The original definition of plug share.
That's a good one.
I was hoping I could open up Google Messages on my browser here. But it's not cooperating. And I got a new phone, so that might be part of it.
Okay, well, I'll see everyone later. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Marty.
Bye,
I'll see if
Marty.
I can get this thing up here for the
And
van.
I'll try to
picture.
make sure my camera works next time.
Okay,
Robert, I just sent that to you.
I see it. Yep. Let me send it over to my laptop, and then I'll pull it up. We can get there eventually. All right. Laptop. And okay, there it is. All right. Tell me when that comes through.
It's starting to.
And I don't know if you can tell, but there's 4 right side by side there, and you can see that they're charged from a tall pedestal.
It's a cutaway van of some kind. Yeah, I don't know. I don't recognize that model though. Unless that's I don't know. I'll have to look that up. But hey, they're advertising it right there on it that it's 100% electric, 0 emissions. It's not like it's a big secret.
Yeah, I had pulled in, and in fact, you might even see my car parked just across the head of the thing early. I was over there somewhere. A guy came out and friendly is enough and all that, but he just told me no pictures. I said, "Well, look like you'd want the publicity. It looked like it's a good thing," and he didn't. I guess didn't agree.
He didn't agree with that. I was wondering if it was one of the workhorse models. I was trying to find the models here. Workhorse trucks. I think it is.
On the door it says Rolling Frito-Lay Sales, Plano, Texas.
Yeah, but doesn't that door design look like this truck here?
Yep.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, there's a company in Ohio called Workhorse that makes some electric medium duty trucks like this, and they've got the cutaway cab so you can put your own back on it. So I bet you that's what it is. It's one of these.
Sure, that looks identical.
Okay, well, I think mystery solved.
As I was trying to track that down before you beat me to it, I found an article that said that Frito-Lay had been starting to use e-Cascadia trucks too.
Yeah, those are the semis, I think.
Yep.
Well, and Pepsi Frito-Lay was also using the Tesla semis out in California. So yeah, I think they're testing multiple electric options. But it's cool that we've actually got one of those tests in West Virginia.
Yep.
All right, guys, we're about 4 minutes after 8. So thanks for showing up. Appreciate it. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Merry
all
Christmas.
those things.
Merry Christmas.
When's the next
See everybody in January.